Evening everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. So I'm up the allotment, and a bit behind me, believe it or not, is the orchard that I did my previous video on apple pruning from. We are 15th of July, so we're not here to prune apples, we're here to prune plum trees. So let's get going. Go and have a look at the the tree victim. Okay then, so this is the plum tree in question. This is the one we're going to be doing today. You can see that it has been really neglected, but has got some fruit developing on it nonetheless. Like I said, we are 15th of July. We're into summer, so why are we thinking about pruning plum trees now when we pruned the apple trees down there in the winter time? Well, the reason for that is plum trees, or all stone fruit, Prunus species that is, suffer from what's a bacterial infection called silverleaf, and they are particularly susceptible if you prune them, or if they get an open wound during the colder winter periods and even into spring. Now, you can do pruning late spring for juvenile trees, which is April, or it's always been I suppose accepted, or not accepted, a rule of thumb that you then do your pruning of established trees in July. And yes, July is when they have the fruit on, but that's good because you know what you're pruning, and you know that you're not going to be sacrificing the fruit production itself. So yeah, we could prune in April if it was a juvenile tree. Personally, I still don't. I always do my pruning in July because in the UK, like a lot of other countries, April can be quite a cold month, and the last thing I want to do is cause any more issues with the tree. So what are we looking at? The first thing, basically very much like any other pruning, is we're looking to remove any dead, damaged, diseased stems first, and then following that we're looking to remove any crossing branches, because we want to have a nice open habit. The reason for the nice open habit is again to prevent pest and disease issues by exposing the tree and allowing for greater air movement through the centre. So if we start by doing that then, so we'll start by removing the obvious dead, diseased and damaged stems, and then we'll have a look at what we're left with and where we go. The thing to remember, as always, is you're only ever going to remove a maximum of 1/3 of volume of tree. So let's start hopefully rejuvenating this old boy. Okay, let's go. Let's start with the old dead, damaged stock. I'll come back to you when we've done. So you can already see that it's looking better. We've removed a big chunk of the dead material, but we still have all this spindly growth on it. So what do we do with that? Because a lot of it is crossing through the middle. Well, it's crossing every way actually. So what are we going to do? Right, very simple. Taking a stem, I mean, I would say that anything that's thinner than pencil thickness is not going to be that good, it's not going to support the fruit. So personally, I'd be looking to cut this back and work my way into some stronger material. And so for this, I'd be looking to take it back to there. We're getting away some of this hanging stems, hanging foliage that actually is not contributing really to the plant. You can see that all of it is wanting to hang down because it's been neglected and putting on a lot of this spindly growth, and because of that it's then hanging down into the center of the plant. So if you reduce the stem length, you're reducing the weight on the individual stem itself, and it'll allow it to spring back up into its correct position. If you got a spindly stem that's got some fruit formation on it, for the time being, for this year at least, it's worth just cutting just past where the fruit's forming, so the fruit will continue to ripen. And then we're looking at any of these other spindly growths, and then you can cut those 6 to 8 inches to outward facing bud. And we can now go around repeating that exercise until we're happy. What I'd also say is where you've got a lot of short sections, it's probably worth just to cut some of that, and then you're just going to strengthen up what is left. Likewise, where you got this, so this new growth here, well, now we're into the middle of July. This section here, that is this year's growth, that is not actually going to grow much more now. So again, we want to cut it outward facing bud and leave it, and then these sections that you've cut, they're actually bear fruit for next year. I mean, if I'd got to this tree a few years back, then really none of that would be there, because you'd be pruning so that all the stems will go out that way. Likewise with this, where it's crossing through the middle, just be a little bit ruthless and we'll take it out. And we're just working our way around, still looking out for the dead, diseased, damaged, and now also looking to remove some of these spindly downward growths. And where we've got it, see, that's a dead piece, where we've got these spindly growths, cut them back 6 to 8 inches, although that section's dead, cut back 6 to 8 inches. I mean, that actually, when you look at it, it's going back on itself. It's no good all the way down to there. You might as well just remove it. This piece, that long spindly growth there, we'll just cut that out. You see how the branch pings back up. We do the same with that, and then nip that off. And we'll just work our way around the rest of the tree, basically doing that. One thing to bear in mind, nice clean sharp secateurs, emphasis on clean. Because we're doing the plum tree, which is stone fruit, and as I said before, could end up with silver leaf, with bacterial infection. Very important to clean your secateurs or pruning saw between trees. So once we've finished this tree, you'd want to make sure that you clean all your equipment before you move on to pruning any of the other trees, because you don't want to pass on the bacterial infections. You can see that with this section here, that had already been cut. This piece I've cut back, which is down there. You could treat it, but to be honest, this time of year, in the summer, that will heal itself quite nicely. So no need to put anything on that, which will stop it breathing. So let's get back to this. Right, at this stage it's probably also worth showing you this. So these are the fruits, and see how it's got that sap coming out of it. Well, that actually shows that it's got a plum maggot forming inside. So the fruits will be no good, they won't be edible. So we can cut that off without worrying about the fruits. Same with this. See how it's got all that sap around it? That means there's a maggot inside already. So you get the plum moth in the springtime, in about March. It lays its eggs on the flowers, and then as the flowers are pollinated and develop and the fruit then forms, the egg hatches and allows the maggot to grow within the forming fruit. Nice protective layer. The maggot can eat the fruit, and then when the time's right it can burrow its way out and emerge another moth. The treatment for that, I mean, there isn't really a treatment other than putting up the plum moth traps, which is a pheromone trap, and that entices in the moth, which captures her and stops her laying eggs everywhere. So, little insight there for you. So whilst the light's still with us, I thought I'd show you progression. So you can see that there's actually a little bit coming off now, which is that pile so far. So, you know, looking at the state of the tree, it's obvious that allowing for removal of a third of the growth won't cut it for this year. You know, you're not going to make a total reversal of how bad the tree is, but, and there is a but, bear in mind that you can do the same again next year. So we're looking as to how we can best rejuvenate the tree. Is that by removing some of this lower stuff that had been coming right the way down, or is it best to thin some of the middle, or are we just using our third to remove all the dead? So I would say at this stage we'll be better off looking to remove the obvious dead, diseased and your damaged stems, and take out some of this real old unproductive growth that isn't doing anything, because as I say, it is unproductive. It won't contribute because it's got no leaf on it. So the plant's not using anything, well, not gaining any photosynthesis from it. So we might as well remove, say, the real obvious stuff that's not contributing to the actual health of the tree. And if it means that we have to leave the top and don't reduce the height this year, then I think that's probably better. You know, and just use our time to concentrate on improving shape where we can and promoting improved vigor to the tree. So it's not to say that I'm packing up now, because there's only that amount that's come off as yet, but it's just so that we use a little bit of thought about it and work out our best plan of pruning strategy, I guess. So I shall carry on for a bit longer till the light levels drop. So we've removed that at the moment, and certainly thinned out a lot of dead now. Just up in the tree, having a little look as to what's obviously dead up here, and we're just removing some of that, or I'm just removing, not we're. You know, you can see that is dead there. So I'm still focusing on removing the obvious dead, so like this whole piece here, and by removing the dead it's opening up the centre of the tree naturally anyway, because most of the time the stems that are died off is as a result of not having enough light to them anyway. So we just whip off the dead bits and the spindly bits, and that actually takes care of a lot of the problems. Again, you can see this real spindly growth here. It's of no use And so if we take it back to that main branch there and we whip that out, that then clears a big chunk of the middle for us as well, without removing too much in the way of volume of leaf. You know, is this going to be a perfect tree when it's finished? No, but you know, I won't be totally happy with it, but I will be accepting of it, knowing that next year we can continue on. Tripped over, just show you where we're at. So I've taken out quite a bit of the spindly stuff, the dead stuff, the damaged stuff, the disease stuff, a bit of the crossing branch stuff, and a bit of the, well, just stuff. And it does look better. Like I say, am I happy with it? No. Is it a start? Yes. Is it an improvement? Well, yes, it is, because now you've got all of that that's left on the tree being healthy, well, certainly a lot healthier than it was. You've removed the stuff that was not helping the tree to be productive at all. And the only thing I would say, which is what I'm going to do now, is I will just get on the ladders and just remove a little bit of the very top. And the reason for that is that I want to now allow some of that sunlight to get down through the canopy to encourage some new shoot and leaf development within the tree. So again, not going to be removing a lot, but just a bit, because I'm mindful that that is what I've already taken off, and whilst it's not up to a third of the volume, I don't want to put loads and loads of stress on the tree, so I'd rather keep it tight in terms of what I prune off. So probably a little bit more to come off on this side just to help balance it up a little bit, and then just take a bit out of the top, say, to allow some light to penetrate through the tree. So I'll finish up. Well, we're 9:20 now, so the light has dropped quite considerably. Hopefully you can still see what has been achieved, and like I say, won't say that I'm super happy with how the tree is, but I'm happier than when I first started. And you can see we've got nice open clear middle there now, so well, very clear compared to what it was, but that hasn't been done at any real expense to the tree. So most of the stuff, as I've shown you, we got that has been removed, but most of it is very unproductive. Not a lot of leaf cover to it, a lot of dead and damaged amongst it. And by opening it up and doing the pruning, you'll find that the tree will now go into a growth stage. And what you will find is that it produces a lot of upward shoots, which are called water shoots. And if they start growing at a tremendous rate, you can just take the tops out of those at the end of July, early August, and they will naturally thicken up for next year. But so yeah, for the time being, that's how I'm leaving this plum tree, and tomorrow start on another one. But first off, I have to clean all my tools. So thanks for watching. Hope you found the video of use. Certainly, it's not as tidy, finished, pretty looking as I would have hoped, or indeed most of you will be able to achieve on your own trees, because like I said, that hasn't been maintained, and the trees are very well established, as you can see. They've been planted here for, well, I think probably about 15 years, probably, I reckon. So yeah, in that time they've had very little maintenance, and the pruning they have had has not been at the hands of anyone with any horticultural training. So yeah, we're trying to undo all the damage over a couple of seasons effectively. So for the time being, that is how I'm leaving the tree. Like I've said multiple times, I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm a lot happier with how I'm leaving it than how I found it, and that is the main thing. And you know, we're aiding the tree to improve its health, improve its longevity, and ultimately that is going to benefit us by having more fruit production. Not this year, but hopefully next year and subsequent years. So if you got any questions, please send them over to me. I'll always do my best to answer them for you. If you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. It's always nice to see new people coming on board and asking more questions about well, different aspects of gardening and horticulture. And the more questions there are, the more it helps everyone. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on the future videos I'm doing. And more importantly, get out in the garden or allotment or orchard, wherever it happens to be. Enjoy yourself, have some fun, use the time to unwind outside of work, and more importantly, just take care of yourselves. So till next time, bye for now.